Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that short break and that lovely brutal OST as we have returned with ESL Open Cup. Not Americas, but with Europa, with Europe instead. Whew. Again, we just wrapped up with the Americas broadcast. It was a really short one, unfortunately. We only had two series, the semifinals and the grand finals, but here is quite different. Here we have plenty of matches available to us. We have the round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, and grand finals thereafter. Plenty of matches available to us here tonight, and we are ready to dive on in. Let's go. We have our first series here, HeRoMaRinE versus MaNa. And I'm excited because while I was in Europe, while I was traveling and in Poland for IEM Katowice, I was casting at the same time, because I'm always casting, and I was able to cover a lot more of the European weeklies. And when I was, we actually were able to catch some really crazy results with players like MaNa bringing Big Gabe down. It was more of a one-off sort of thing, but MaNa did prove to us that he has it within him to bring down a player of the caliber of HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRinE is still the favorite player, but MaNa was able to hold his own. So I'm excited to see how they face off and how they compare now, what, 2 months after the fact. Of course, for those that are curious, this is a replay broadcast. The European Weekly was hosted 2 days ago, so it's been a couple of days here. And again, I'm here in Australia, so the European Weeklies are at just a really bad time. They start at like 4 a.m. They start at like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. It's brutal staying up for that. I mean, I have casted plenty of events, like up until like 6, 7, 8 a.m. in the morning, sure, but doing that on a regular basis every single week, it's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more daunting, and I'm good. I can't quite commit to that. Maybe one day, though. Maybe one day I'll try to cover all 3 weeklies. Usually we stick to Asia and Americas live. But yeah, we do have some free time here today to cover the European Weekly instead. And we have Big Gabe versus MaNa coming up first. This is, for some context, a quarterfinals match. We're diving into the quarterfinals here. Game 1, Alkione. Let's go. Let us go. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkione, we have our German Terran player, the Red Terran representing Team Mouse. It is HeRoMaRinE. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid from Atlanta, Poland. It is MaNa. Here we go. Again, the European Weekly typically does house mainly European players. Very rarely do we get some of the American players. Sometimes we have like Trigger, sometimes we have Disc. I feel like those are the two notables that compete in these online weekly opens. When it comes to the Koreans, again, it's more of a rarity as well, just because of the time slot and because of the ping disadvantage as well. Typically the Koreans do avoid ESL Open Cup Europe, so whenever we see the Europeans and Koreans face off, it's usually in the Americas Open instead. I say usually because there are, of course, some exceptions here and there. Sometimes we get like Classic staying up or Bunny staying up, you know, like this is like once every 6 months or something. It does happen from time to time, but it is a rarity. Regardless, we're here for some European on European action. For now, HeRoMaRinE going for a double gas opener. Double gas going for a faster factory, a delayed command center, so a bit of a more aggressive build from our Red Terran. Meanwhile, across the map, we have MaNa opening up. Interesting, not walling off the Reaper cliff, by the way, setting up his SimCity further back in his main base mineral line. As he's going for his gate cyber expand. Probe dips in, Probe confirms the one base setup here. Ooh, gets baited into believing that we're going for a CC on the low ground. Factory is on the way, and MaNa does get in, and MaNa doesn't quite confirm. But upon seeing that there is no CC and no command center, should be aware of the faster gas build. Or the double gas build. Factory is on the way, as we mentioned. Reaper into Reactor. Meanwhile, very nice movement here from MaNa, able to avoid the Reaper, by the way. Able to avoid the Reaper. The Reaper is going to be able to head across the map. Meanwhile, the Probe is going to slip into the main. So let's avoid said Reaper, and isn't quite able to get the full scouts, but will at least be a nuisance here against the building SCV. is going to apply some pressure, forces the Reaper back home. Behind this, we're following this up with a Cyclone. Let's go. It's going to be Reactor to Marine into additional Cyclone production. And back at home, we do see MaNa going for his tech of choice. Interesting, it is not a Twilight Council, we're going for a Stargate opener instead. This should be for Phoenixes. Should be, I mean, we have some more aggressive Protoss players that do like going for Oracles instead. We're quite fond of it, being a little bit more aggressive and harassing across the map. But I imagine MaNa is more of a Phoenix enjoyer. The Adept is going to be forced out. We did delay the CC for a couple of seconds, but ooh, that's going to be a kill on the Adept. Big pick off there by HeRoMaRinE. At the same time, we catch the second Adept here with the Cyclone. Big catch once again as the Adept is going to fall. It doesn't shade away, is caught out. And just like that, HeRoMaRinE has map control. Now, what's important is that Gabe was unable to scout the main, was unable to slip in with the Reaper, not yet, so we're unaware as to what's going on. It could be Stargate, could be Twilight Council, could be even a Robo opener. Gabe is unaware. We do get a couple of probe kills here at the natural. We get 2. Phoenix is revealed, and we managed to get even more done. 3 probes go down. It does slip in. We do shut down the Reaper finally, but was worth it in the end. I say that the Cyclone was sniped as well, so that was a more costly trade there for HeRoMaRinE. But he's getting ready back at home. Now he's aware of the Phoenixes. We have a Widowmine set up at the 3rd base location. Marines are amassing. Liberator on the way, not a Viking. That I'm a little bit caught off guard by it. Here come those Phoenixes. Dive into the main base. A couple of SCVs are exposed. We don't quite commit though, as we do respect the Marines. The mine shot! No! Ooh, a big mine shot here will connect with the Phoenix. Alas, not enough to bring it down. We do end up sniping that Widowmine, but that was some nice damage nonetheless. As Gabe is settling into his 2-base setup, amassing more tanks. Medevac is on the way to be active across the map as well. And MaNa, back at home, is settling into his 2-base setup and should soon be expanding. Robo's on the way. Additional Phoenixes as well. Bit of a supply block, but it's going to be broken. And we're looking to contain our opponents. As the Phoenixes move out, HeRoMaRinE, he's moving in. Here we go. Phoenixes, they try to cash any transferring workers, any reinforcements. SCVs are going to be going down. Mules as well. And HeRoMaRinE doesn't care. Not anymore. He's committed. Is pushing out. We have 2 tanks with the main army. We have Marines. No stim. No combat shields. But we don't need them. Know where we're going across the map. We do have a shield battery and an overcharge. Stalkers, they try to slow this down. Trying to pick away at those tanks, if at all possible. That is going to be 5 pieces. We can lift the tanks. Overcharge is popped. A bit premature, but we're within range of the shield battery. It's going to be going down. Bunkers on the way. Shield battery falls. We pick off a Phoenix already. And it was softened up from that mine earlier. With the Liberator in the main, getting damage done. Did distract those Phoenixes. And the tanks, they're edging ever closer. Going for the pylon. And that will depower the Robo. Oh, Robo gets depowered. There's only 1 Immortal. And without additional Immortals, we can't break this. Phoenixes, they catch reinforcements. They pick up a Viking. Not bad. But the Robo's under fire. Pylon about to finish, but this Immortal, it's not going to come in. It's not going to be able to spawn in there. That's a kill on the shield battery. The Robo goes down. And we're still on 1 gate. We can't spend our money. MaNa just now realizes, he's like, hold up, I can't warp in anything right now. I only have the 1 gate. MaNa has resources, is banking up quite a bit, but cannot spend that money. MaNa is in trouble, going for a big counterattack instead. Back in the main base, throwing down additional Raxes. We do have additional E-bays as well, working on upgrades. Stim is on the way, combat shields as well. HeRoMaRinE doesn't have to push in. Does have a lead. Ooh, as the Marines are going to be camped. Not bad. We pick off every single Marine in the main base, by the way. There's only 1 Marine left. Oh. Yeah, And with that one Marine, we're going to be able to go ham on these tanks. We pick off one of the tanks, jump into the main base. We pick off 4 workers. 4 probes go down, and a Phoenix. And these are trades that Gabe can still afford. MaNa, not as much. I mean, he did have a bank to work with, true. From here, Gabe should unsiege and get the hell out of here. Throws down a turret, doubling down. Fair enough. Yeah, we did stick around a little bit too long. The tank's going to be lifted. We should clean this up. Yeah, we get both tanks. A bit of a messy trade. A little bit. Regardless, MaNa will clean up that push. But back at home, Gabe, he's on a 4, sorry, he's on 3 CCs. He's fully saturated, up in workers with mules as well. MaNa going to double Stargate production with a fleet beacon. That I was not quite expecting. We're going mass Phoenix. Okay. Okay, I see you. The problem is we have plenty of Marines. We have a massive amount of Marines back at home. This time we have Stim and Combat Shield, so if MaNa ever does try to camp this or try to cover those tanks, we have plenty of Marines to punish MaNa. Doesn't have as much freedom as it did earlier. MaNa desperately double expanding. It makes sense. Just because we're so far behind, we have to take the 3rd base and the 4th at the same time. Okay, I may as well make use of the tech. We are not just going mass Phoenix, we're headed into Tempest back at home. We have a 3rd Stargate in production. Scan doesn't quite reveal to, oh my, did we see? I think we did. Vikings on the way. I believe that Tempest was barely within range of the scan. And yeah, we're doubling down on Viking production. +1 ship weapons has begun as well. Big reaction there out of Gabe. Is aware. And we should soon be pushing. I mean, Gabe already has a supply lead, but doesn't want to rest on his laurels, doesn't want to allow MaNa to recover and get into Sky Toss of all things. HeRoMaRinE is getting his 4th, and we should soon be pushing. I say that Ghost Academy is on the way. We should be waiting for our upgrades as well. We have +2 halfway done. Also chip weapons, of course. Waiting for all of that to kick in. We don't want to hit an anti-timing. Don't want to be caught out while we're unprepared. Scan does confirm. If we didn't see it before, we know now of said Tempest. The stack defense as well. MaNa just going purely Tempest at this point. And Tempest, they can trade well, but the problem with Tempest, as you can imagine, 1, they're immobile, but 2, they can't really support themselves. They need something on the ground or in the air to support them. Whether it's carrier, whether it's a gateway-based army, Storm, Archons. On their own, they're vulnerable. And HeRoMaRinE, he knows that. And again, there is no splash damage, whether it's Storm or Colossus or Disruptors. It's just Sky Toss. Gabe, he wants to dive in. He wants to go for the kill. Ghost Academy is done. +2 about to finish. Moving out towards the 4th. MaNa does respond with his entire army, but again, there's just not much to work with, and HeRoMaRinE, he's maxed out. Overcharges pop, we focus on the shield battery, and now we dive on top of the Tempest. We stim and we win. We focus on whatever's left in the sky. We have 3 Tempests left. We're down to 2. GG gets called, and HeRoMaRinE will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Gabe does take a lead in the series, but again, was able to achieve so much damage early on and was able to take such a lead that really, MaNa had to do something crazy to bounce back. And rushing into Sky Toss, I mean, that is crazy. That was a way to bounce back. Unfortunately, we need more time. We needed more time. We needed something to keep HeRoMaRinE busy back at home to allow us to get away with that Sky Toss army. Unfortunately, was not meant to be. Was not able to, and HeRoMaRinE does take the first game. Now we're going to be settling into game number 2. We're going to be loading into Site Delta. Oh boy. Here we go. Now again, a lot of that first game did come down to Gabe just achieving so much with his initial tank push. Getting worker damage with the Liberator, able to break the Robo, the Immortals, the lack of production. Like, it was just a very chaotic and very intense early game there for MaNa, but now we're getting into game 2, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our German Terran player, the Red Terran representing Mouse Esports. It is HeRoMaRinE. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Polish Terran, the Polish Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Team Liquid. It is MaNa. Let's go. Here we go. As a reminder, HeRoMaRinE did open up double gas in the previous game. Went double gas, went into an earlier Cyclone production, into an eventual tank push. We'll see what the plan is going to be here on Site Delta. Again, Site Delta is known for being a much more defensive, secure map on 2 bases because of this ramp. It would make sense for Gabe to open up economically, and there it is. Only a single gas opener. It is going to be a Rax expand for HeRoMaRinE. So Gabe is going for a much faster command center, a much faster economy. MaNa back at home, walling off the Reaper Cliff. And getting into his own standard opener, just a Gate Cyber expand. Nothing too fancy, same opener as game 1. It's Gabe that's mixing things up. There's a command center on the low ground, on location. So MaNa being a nuisance and still being a nuisance, tasing away at that SCV, but is going to be forced back. Ooh, and yeah, Gabe is being a little bit greedier this game. It isn't just the fact that he's going for a command center after that Rax. It isn't just that he's going for a single gas opener, but Gabe also doesn't go for an SCV scout and doesn't go for a Reaper. Goes for a Marine instead. So 0 scouting information. Gabe has no idea what MaNa is up to, but you can afford to get away with something like this on a map like Site Delta just because of this ramp coming into the natural. It is so much more difficult to go for any kind of early game aggression. And Gabe is following this up with a 3 Rax. Okay, you don't see this too often anymore. 3cc 3 Rax has been quite trendy, but a vanilla 3 Rax, a little bit less so. So I'm very excited to see how this does unfold. Back at home, MaNa is not opening up Stargate. I was about to say that this build from HeRoMaRinE is ideal against Phoenix openers. If MaNa was opening up Stargate into Phoenix, he'd be up against a mass amount of bio on the ground, and the Phoenixes would do nothing. Like, we could just end the game with this push. Thankfully, MaNa's opening up Blink Stalker. Twilight Council's on the way, we're working towards Blink. Ideally with Blink Stalkers, you want to be active on the map, and you want to slow down this push as it moves out across the map towards your natural. Basically, we're building up towards a big stim timing from Big Gabe. It's building up. MaNa back at home. How many gateways is the big question? So it's going to be, for now, 2 gate Blink from MaNa. 2 gate Blink into a 3rd is a very economic standard build here. We could try to be more aggressive and throw down a 3rd or a 4th gateway, but MaNa hasn't seen much to really tip him off. Doesn't know what he's up against, as a result, staying on a low gate count, which is a little bit worrisome. We'll see how greedy MaNa's going to be. Ooh, as we are going for 4-gate Blink, never mind. That's a 3rd and 4th gateway. 4-gate Blink here from our Protoss. Let's go. Very aggressive build. Now, a lot of this is going to come down to the control, going to come down to the positioning as well. Now, HeRoMaRinE, because of his build, no tanks. There's no tanks, there's no bunkers either, there's 0 scouting, literally 0 scouting information from Big Gabe. He has no idea what MaNa's doing, has no reason to prepare for aggression. Still has a lot of bio, Stim is halfway done. And MaNa should soon be pushing. And we'll see what the micro is looking like between our players. The army is spotted. MaNa knows. He has seen the main army. Adept shades into the main. We confirm as well. The factory's still on the way, so now he knows it's a 3-racks. And MaNa does need to force a stim early on, or pick up some Marines. Going to be consolidating his army first. Prism is moving out for a counterattack. Stalkers move out, but he misses the army. Up, just barely. Does spot it. Yeah, he has to blink back. Blink is now on cooldown for a couple of seconds. Okay, pushing in. He stims. And he catches one. One stalker goes down. We get a second stalker as well. We dive on the shield battery zone. There's no sentries, no force fields. MaNa, he's in trouble. The boys have to be pulled. And we refuse to pull the boys. Then we get towards the end, and a lot of workers going to be going down. At the same time, across the map, the Prism, it's outside the base. Doesn't commit. And we lose almost every worker here at the natural. 13, 14 probes go down. That is game-ending damage. And what do we do with the Prism? We have a handful of stalkers. It's not that much, to be honest. HeRoMaRinE, he should be aware of 4-gate blink. He saw there's no third. He also saw the amount of stalkers. Bunker is on the way at the natural. No bunker in the main. Prism does slip in. And MaNa's committed. MaNa is committed here. Ooh, bleeding out some stalkers. Bleeding out a lot of stalkers, actually. His attention focused in the main instead. Boys are being pulled. We blink in. That Marauder putting in a lot of work. Does go down. We have another Marauder available, and yeah, HeRoMaRinE, sorry, MaNa, he's just running out of steam, running out of units, running out of stalkers. And Gabe maintains his economic lead. Again, 42 SCVs to 32 probes of MaNa, plus mules. Gonna try and blink in, do focus out more stalkers. Yeah, there's no breaking this position. From here, Gabe throws down a third CC. I mean, there's no reason not to. Setting up for a longer game. We blink in. We do focus on some of these Marauders. Oh, but it costs us a lot of stalkers. 4 stalkers go down. Not like this. Yeah, GG gets called. That was 5 stalkers, by the way, and MaNa runs out of steam. HeRoMaRinE will take game number 2 and the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Ooh. Congratulations here as HeRoMaRinE does take it. Again, MaNa, an unfortunate setup there. I mean, he did go 4-gate blink, and I did kind of like that setup that MaNa initially had, but he did miss the initial move out. He wasn't able to slow down the army. The way this works is that when you go for 3-racks, when you go for a 3-racks build in TvP, you have no medevacs. You have no sustain for your army. So every stim is so valuable. And ideally, when you're up against this build, you want to force stims. You want to force a stim early on. You want to pick away at the army itself just because there's no micro potential with no medevacs. So ideally you want to engage, at least in the center of the map. But HeRoMaRinE, he got all the way across the map. He got all the way into the natural as well before there was any kind of fight. And by then it was a little bit too late. Likewise, another option you can go for is if you can warp in some sentries defensively back at home, you can force field the ramp. You can cut the army in half, and that's just a big way to just take away a lot of the bite that that build has. But there were no sentries either, and yeah, MaNa was just caught a little bit off guard, a little bit with his pants down. And Gabe snowballed out of control. GG. GG, well played. With that, Gabe will advance on. My apologies. We'll advance on into the next round, and we're getting ready here for our next series. We're getting ready for our next quarterfinals match. So Gabe advances on to the semifinals. We are here to determine who faces off against Gabe in those semis. It's going to be a PvP between MaxPax and Geralt. Let's go.